President Trump, what a man. He recently took the opportunity to show us all what a pristine, mature gentleman he is. The Hill reports, Trump said, quote, Jimmy Carter died a happy man. You know why? Because he wasn't the worst president. Joe Biden was. He told reporters this Thursday. These remarks were made in the context of discussion of tariffs. So he just decides to throw that in there. What a freaking dick. Holy cow. Why does this president insist on throwing in these gratuitous jabs? This wasn't even a discussion of Jimmy Carter or Joe Biden. I mean, Jimmy Carter was president over 40 years ago. Joe Biden was obviously president quite a bit more recently. In fact, 3 months ago, basically. And Trump has to keep bashing Biden. He has to keep bashing Biden because things are not necessarily rosy for him right now. They're not. And yeah, he's only been in office for a little bit. So even if Trump were doing all the right things, things might not necessarily be perfect. But for crying out loud, Harry Truman once said that the buck stops here. Don't presidents have to take responsibility for themselves? Trump can't take responsibility for himself. He just keeps blaming Biden. And you know, he did something similar during his first term where he blamed Obama a lot, but I think this time he's really turned it up a whole nother notch, which is kind of ironic too, because Biden actually only served 1 term, but Obama served 2 terms. But yeah, Biden just seems like a more convenient punching bag because, you know, the economy seemed like it was worse under him than it was under Obama. But actually, the economy was excellent towards the end of Obama's term, and it was excellent early in Trump's term, you know, basically up until, 2020, the pandemic. And, he's focused on bashing Biden, but Biden basically just inherited the bad economy from Trump, and it recovered. Biden handed him off a fairly solid economy. But now he's like complaining. He's like, oh yeah, this is actually Biden's fault. Dude, you announced these ridiculous new policies, these so-called reciprocal tariffs, which are not actually reciprocal. That graph that he pulled out, that chart, it was full of lies and inaccurate numbers. So he just lied in order to get himself pretext for these massive tariffs. And then he ends up pausing them because he realized he bit off more than he could chew. He bit off more than he could chew on the issue of tariffs. And his supporters still applaud that. But have some grace toward the former president. I don't know if I recall any U.S. president making such a disparaging joke about a former dead U.S. president. I mean, I know they've disparaged each other. I know LBJ was not necessarily a nice guy and he was a Democratic president. But really? Dude, you were at Jimmy Carter's funeral. How would he feel about hearing something like that? That's just terrible. Yeah, and the guy lived a great life. He lived to be 100 years old. Will Trump live to be 100? I don't know. I mean, he seems like he's invincible. But yeah, this is just disgraceful. Why does he insist on throwing this in there? This is not red meat toward his base in some typical way. The US president should not be known for saying stuff like this. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's run its course. This whole discourse about how, oh, the president is such a jerk. The president is such a jerk. Democrats need to call out his behavior on the economy, his behavior on a lot of these issues relating to democracy, relating to the Constitution. These deportations have gotten absolutely out of control. So the mean things that he says are not necessarily the most important issue. But I just thought that this was interesting. Just a gratuitous shot. And I don't know, is it a sign of mental decline? Like he's just got to throw in these shots here and there to compensate for the fact that he's a total joke? Like that he knows that his brain's falling apart and that people don't trust him and that, yeah, he's going to be remembered as a joke of a president. Like he's going to be remembered as the Republican version of Grover Cleveland, the second president to serve 2 terms non-consecutively. But yeah, his term is off to such a rough start that it's like, what good is there to say about this old man? What good is it? He's going to be known as the oldest president now too, older than Biden. This just old dirtbag who lies about his height, by the way, lies about his height and weight, says he's 6'3", says he's 224 pounds. Dude, no, you are not 224 pounds. You are way more than that, you liar. But yeah, that's a different topic for a different day. Never trust a man who lies about his height or his weight. I will say that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. This has been The Morris, The Merrier. and I look forward to speaking to you in my next video.